¿Te imaginas conocer uno de los institutos más prestigiosos del mundo? ¿Un instituto que tiene 31 premios Nobel? Hoy, entre radiólogos, visitó el Instituto Max Planck en Alemania. Un verdadero privilegio. Fuimos los primeros autorizados en conocer el instituto sin ser científicos ni periodistas profesionales. Y sí, por supuesto, tengo un montón de material para mostrarte. Por eso te invito a que me sigas en las redes sociales. En Instagram y en TikTok estamos como entre.radiólogos. Ahí convertí un montón de información y voy a seguir compartiendo un montón de material que tengo del Instituto Max Planck. Durante mi visita pude conocer el magnetón Terra, un resonador de 7 Teslas. Sí, 7 Teslas. Uno de los pocos equipos instalados en el mundo. Si bien en este instituto se utiliza para investigación, este tipo de resonadores ya está autorizado para el uso clínico, así que muy poquitos hospitales en el mundo lo tienen. Tuve el honor de entrevistar a uno de los físicos que trabaja en ese instituto. Y no solamente entrevistarlo, sino que también lo vi probar una secuencia desarrollada por él mismo con una paciente real. Antes de dejarlos con la entrevista, los invito a conocer mi página web entreradiólogos.com, donde están disponibles mis cursos de resonancia magnética y próximamente también el de tomografía computada. Ich freue mich sehr, hier im Institut Max Planck sein mit Ihnen und ich möchte Ihnen meine Community vorstellen. Ist Doktor in Physik und heißt Karin Pine. Ist unsere Expertin. Und auf diesem Grund mache ich ein paar Fragen, okay?
Thank you and welcome.
Danke. Ich möchte auch wissen, was machen Sie? Welche Erfahrungen haben Sie?
Sure. So I studied MRI physics and I was looking for something which helped society and was very academically challenging.
Yeah.
So that was my path into MRI. And what I also like about MRI is that it is not involving non-ionizing radiation. And there's a chance to see many, many different kind of contrasts. And we can change the contrast simply by changing the software. And this isn't true of other techniques like X-ray, for example.
Genau, sehr interessant. Können Sie uns bitte erklären, was die Hauptarbeit mit diesem Gerät ist?
So we pursue 2 main tracks of research here with our 7 Tesla MRI system. The first one is functional and the second one is structural. So we try with both of these methods to get very high resolution maps of the brain's function and of its structure. And this is important because in many diseases, there's very small features in the brain which are thought to lead to these diseases. And even in the healthy functioning of the brain, which we also research, in the healthy functioning of the brain, this is driven by very small units. So for example, in the visual system, these units, there are small columns which are only 1 millimeter or perhaps half a millimeter wide. So we try to examine the function, see how these small units work in the brain, but also to image them structurally to see them.
Und führen Sie hier nur neurologische Untersuchungen durch oder auch andere Untersuchungen?
Yeah, so here in the Institute, we exclusively examine the brain. So although we have MRI systems which are capable of doing other body parts, the hip or the knee, we're exclusively doing brain examinations here, and it's usually of healthy people that we study here in the Institute.
Super. Gibt es spezielle Erkrankungen, auf die Sie sich konzentrieren? Zum Beispiel Epilepsie oder Parkinson und so weiter?
Yeah, so I work on a project which is about early diagnosis of Parkinson's disease.
Parkinson.
So I do work with Parkinson's disease, but also Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases quite a bit. There are other researchers here that would work on other diseases like epilepsy and stroke.
Okay, toll. Und wie lange dauern ungefähr die Untersuchungen mit diesen Geräten?
Yeah, so that is something that's very different here about the examinations we do in the Institute. So in a hospital, there's a lot of pressure to make the measurements very short, so to bring them underneath 10 minutes or 15 minutes for an examination. Here, because we're doing high resolution work, we're often scanning for much longer. So our volunteers would typically spend up to 90 minutes inside the scanner. Of course, we would like to make what we develop here usable in a hospital, and so we also seek to reduce the amount of scan time down to less than 15
das
minutes.
kommt davon. Genau. Und müssen die Patienten etwas vorbereiten für die Untersuchungen? Gibt es etwas Besonderes, das die Patienten beachten müssen?
Okay, so people who volunteer for our studies, they go through an interview with a medical doctor, and they also explain to them exactly how the MRI system works and what to expect.
Ja.
They don't need to do any special preparation, other than, of course, to remove any metallic items before they go in. Sometimes in functional experiments, we ask the person to do a task during the scan. So, for example, they might see some pictures or play a small game, and quite often we'll practice that outside the scanner so that the person, when they go into the scanner, is comfortable.
Außerdem möchte ich gerne wissen, welche Ausbildung die Personen haben, die dieses Gerät bedienen.
Yeah. So we have two main groups of people who operate the scanner. The first one are our MTAs, or they would be radiographers, and they are trained through a Ausbildung in Germany to be able to operate these scanners, and then they would receive an extra course for the particular brand of equipment that they would be working with. The other type of people that use the equipment are researchers, and there they would typically be a physicist or perhaps a psychologist or a neuroscientist generally, and they would receive training delivered by our institute internally how to operate the scanners. They would also do a small exam.
Ja, also wie Sie, dass Sie Doktor in Physik sind.
Exactly, yes.
Genau. Welche besonderen Vorsichtsmaßnahmen müssen die Patienten und die Personal mit einem starken Magnetfeld beachten?
Yeah, so of course there are several safety concerns about MRI. Many people believe MRI is safe, but it can actually be quite dangerous if the risks aren't controlled. And one of the main risks that you mentioned is the strong magnetic field. And this means if we go into the magnet room and we have something left in our pockets, like a set of keys or some coins, that they can fly out and potentially damage people inside the scanner. So we always make sure when we go in that we're free of all metallic items.
Ich habe gesehen, dass die Gehirnspule aus 2 Spulen besteht. Warum ist das und wie viele Kanäle gibt?
Okay, so there's something special about 7 Tesla magnets in that the magnet itself doesn't have a body coil built into it. So that means that the head coil that we need to put in needs to do 2 functions. It needs to transmit the radio frequency magnetic field, which excites the signal, and it also needs to receive the magnetic field signal from the body itself. So there's this transmit and a receive. And the coil performs both of these functions. And here at our institute, we have a system that's capable of up to 16 transmit channels and 64 receive channels.
Sehr interessant. Diese Frage ist ähnlich wie die Vorfrage, aber ich musste auch wissen, ob diese Geräte Spulen von zum Beispiel Multikanal oder Beer-Cage, sagt man Beer-Cage, haben oder diese Art von diese Spulen haben diese Geräte nicht?
Yeah, so usually the transmit element is this kind of birdcage coil arrangement. We also have receive coils that have this birdcage arrangement, but they're typically lower channel counts. So usually like an 8-channel coil, for example, might have this arrangement. The coils that we use most commonly in head imaging have a kind of a soccer ball layout of the receive channels.
Wie schützen Sie die Patienten vor dem Geräusch der Gradienten?
Yeah, so it's very important that our participants are protected from the loud noise that the scanner makes. So otherwise it could lead to hearing loss. So we have trained radiographers who are very careful about making sure our subjects have hearing protection. And so there we're typically using very high quality earplugs, or for studies where they need to listen to particular instructions, we use a combination of the earplugs, but also with a headphone system.
Können Sie Untersuchungen am ganzen Körper machen oder ist es exklusiv nur für die Neurologie?
Yeah, so here, because we're a brain research institute, we're usually just looking at the brain, although sometimes with brain research, other parts of the body are also interesting. Here on the 7 Tesla, we don't have a body coil available, so we can only scan the head and perhaps extremities like a leg or an arm. But we do have other scanners here. We have several 3 Tesla scanners, and those are capable of imaging any other body part. And of course, we have the coils that would be suitable for this.
Super. Und welche Materialien oder Implantaten dürfen aktuell bei einem 7 Tesla-Gerät benutzt werden? Ist es möglich?
So the situation with 7 Tesla is more complicated than 3 Tesla, and this is because of the number and variety of devices which could be implanted into the body that are out there. And because there are not so many 7 Tesla devices, so there are perhaps, say, 200 of these 7 Tesla scanners in the world at the moment, not every manufacturer of a medical device will test their implant for 7 Tesla. So although it might even be safe for 7 Tesla, because we don't have an official statement from the manufacturer that it's safe, we won't scan these people. So here, because we're an institute and we're scanning mostly healthy people, and their scan isn't going to be diagnostic or helpful for their own condition, we're more careful than a hospital might be. So we take extreme care with the safety of implants here.
Okay. Ist etwas besonders mit den faradischen Kräften? Ist es anders als die eine 3D-Geräte oder ist es gleich? Natürlich ist es größer, aber es gibt etwas Spezielles.
So the magnet room is also protected by this RF Faraday shield.
Ja.
It would be very similar to any other magnet that we have this. In previous systems, so many years ago, the previous generation of 7 Teslas quite often had shielding for the magnetic field. So it had much thicker shielding, but this is no longer necessary with the modern equipment.
Ja, okay. Und wissen Sie ungefähr, wie viel kostet diese Geräte?
So the exact price, I'm not sure of this equipment, but some people use as a rule of thumb 1 million euros per Tesla, and this is a 7 Tesla device. So let's say that it's perhaps less than 10 million, but more than 1 million.
Also 7 Male mehr oder habe ich schlecht verstanden?
Some people would estimate 7 million euros.
Oh, okay. Vielleicht kannst du eine mir kaufen. Was noch? Also das ist wirklich spannend, dass Sie hier leisten. Und ich möchte wissen, es gibt etwas noch, das Sie mit uns teilen möchten oder zum Beispiel etwas über diese Geräte, seine Nutzung oder seine Arbeit, etwas noch?
Yeah, I would say it's a very exciting time to be in MRI. Although MRI has been developing even since the 1980s, there are always still new hardware and new techniques and new methods that we can see even more detail inside the human body. And I think this is really exciting that the MRI field continues to develop. And this push to higher field strengths, like the 7 Tesla, I think very soon we'll be seeing these devices also in hospital and assisting with diseases. Epilepsy would be the most obvious example of something that would benefit from the high resolution of this equipment.
Vielen Dank für Ihre Zeit, Ihre Hilfe, Ihre Erklärung und für die Möglichkeit hier zu sein.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Quiero agradecer al Dr. Pine, a la señora Genebach y al Instituto Max Planck por permitirme visitar sus instalaciones. En mi próxima visita voy a conocer el área de radiología pediátrica de un hospital alemán en donde tienen un resonador que hace algo único en el mundo. ¿Qué será? Nos vemos en el próximo video.